Please join in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Good evening. This meeting is held in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. The news media has been notified, and a copy of the agenda has been made available to the public. This meeting is open to the public. All persons wishing to attend the meeting by virtual means may do so via YouTube Sumter School District Board Meetings and Sumter School District Facebook page. The vision. Sumter School District develops and cultivates competitive students who embrace adversity, act responsibly, and contribute positively to society. The mission. The mission of Sumter School District is to equip students to be responsible, successful, and productive citizens in a global society. Our board members are yours truly, Barbara Jackson, Area 7 Chairwoman, Dr. J. Frank Baker, Seat 8 Vice Chair, Dr. Darrell McGaney, Area 5 Clerk, Mr. Brian Alston, Area 1, Mrs. Cheryl Ray, Area 2, Mr. Mac McLeod, Area 3, Dr. John V. Hilton, Area 4, Dr. Gloria Lee, Area 6, Dr. Sean Reagan, Area 9, Ms. Denise Jones, our Shore Air Force Base representative, Dr. William T. Wright Jr., our superintendent, and Ms. Shantae Scott, our administrative manager. This meeting is now called to order. Welcome to Oakland Primary, and I'd like to thank Principal Josh Campbell and the staff for hosting this meeting. Thank you, Mr. Campbell and staff. Are there any objections to the approval of the agenda? Hearing none, the agenda stands approved. We're now down to public participation, and I'd just like to read the guidelines for public participation. The Board of Trustees is pleased to offer time at regular monthly board meetings each month for public participation, both in person and electronically. According to our policy, the board will allocate 15 minutes at the onset of each regular meeting for the public to address the board. The chairman reserves the right to limit discussion of same topic issues in an effort to provide individuals the opportunity to be heard on a variety of subjects. Public participation will not exceed 3 minutes for each individual unless waived by the majority vote of the board. Consideration may be given for public hearing for gaining input on critical issues. Speakers may offer objective comments on school operations and programs that concern them. The board will not permit in public session any expression of personal complaints about individual school personnel or any other person connected with the school system. At this time, we will open the floor for public comments not to exceed 15 minutes or 3 minutes for each participant. Following in-person comments, Executive Director of Communication and Community Engagement, Ms. Shelley Galloway, will read the electronic submission, if there be any. We have two persons that have asked for time for public participation. And the first person that we will hear from this evening will be Mr. Dennis Sides, and he will be coming about therapy dogs. Yes.
I have
Thank
bad
you.
hearing, so.
Okay, yes, that's
Anyway,
you.
my name's Denny Sides, and I brought my buddy Sparky with me. Sparky is a therapy dog. He's also a service dog. And we were in the schools, compliments of Dr. Baker since 2008. And then in February of 20, we had to stop because of the pandemic, somewhere around there. I wrote a letter last year to send it to the superintendent. I don't know where it all ended up, but I got back an answer and said, no, we looked at our policy and animals aren't allowed in the school. So I answered a letter, sent one back, never received an answer for it. And I never received an answer. So anyway, there's my information on it. Page 2 is a copy of the CDC. There's others up here you can look at. Here's some pictures of some of the kids you can look at. This boy right here would not speak. He had trouble speaking. And at Hillcrest, the speech teacher wouldn't even take the dog into the classroom, into her office with him. So anyway, CDC says it's a benefit to have therapy dogs with the kids now, especially with autistic kids. We're visiting 6 or 7 locations, and
Would you have a seat here at the table on Mr. Sides?
that's all I have. We would like to get
Okay.
back into schools.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, we do appreciate your input, and you will be hearing from
Thank you.
us. Thank you so much, Mr. Sides. Our next person that's asking for time is Naomi Edwards from the Shiloh Project in Shiloh, South Carolina. Ms. Edwards, would you please just have a seat at the table here?
Good evening.
Good evening.
We came actually just to introduce ourselves. We're part of Shiloh Project Lift, and we're working in Shiloh, St. John community, represented by our minister here, Dr. McGaney. And we just like to introduce ourselves. I spoke with the superintendent the other day, and I was very elated to be able to talk to him. And I'm believing that we'll have favor to have credentialed teachers again this year. I have only one of our board members with me, Ms. Wilhelmina Presley, and we'll have another one on the way. But thank you so much for allowing us to come and introduce ourselves.
Okay.
And if you'd like information about our program, I can present it to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Edwards. And we appreciate your coming to introduce yourself. And I will say on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank the members of the public for expressing your thoughts and or concerns regarding opportunities and the school district. Responses will be shared that may include putting you in contact with the district staff member best capable to answer your questions and address your concerns. So please know that the board do appreciate your input, and thank you for being here this evening. We're now moving on to our announcements. Trustees, are there any announcements that you might wish to share at this time? No announcements? Okay, we have no announcements at this time. Our next item is our board recognition, and we are elated to know that we have two very deserving individuals to be recognized this evening. And I'd like to say congratulations to Dr. Marina Masaguta. I'm hoping that I didn't mess that name up, and if I do, take it in the name of love. And she is one of our teachers at Alice Drive Middle. Just come on down front for just a moment, please, ma'am. And she is our grade 6 through 8 mathematics and STEM lead teacher. And we'd like to acknowledge her for being selected as the 3rd place winner for the Air and Space Forces Association Rolls-Royce 2022 National Aerospace STEM Teacher of the Year. Let's give her. The National Teachers of the Year Selection Committee was very impressed with her varied STEM education leadership efforts at her school, which involves integrating national STEM experts into Alice Drive Middle School STEM program. Dr. Mosgutu is commended for the above and beyond commitment she gives so unselfishly to her students and other teachers in order to help prepare youth for the next generation of national STEM workforce. Thank you so much again, and we do have a certificate here for you, and I will come around and we will present this to you. Dr. Wright, are you coming?
Yes, ma'am.
And it reads, certificate. It says certificate of achievement. The certificate is awarded to Dr. Marina Masaguta in recognition of being named 3rd place winner for the Air and Space Force Association Rolls-Royce 2022 National Aerospace STEM Teacher of the Year. And it's awarded by the Superintendent and your student. And our next person, we do have an additional person, and it's congratulations to Coach Gore, Jamie Gore. He is a veteran PE teacher from Hillcrest Middle School, and he recently was honored with the Outstanding Service Award for 25 years in coaching for the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association. And this is truly an amazing accomplishment and worthy of all accolades. And I want to thank you. It reads, this certificate is awarded to Jamie Gore in recognition of outstanding service for 25 years of coaching from the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association. Thank you so much. We do appreciate you. Thank you so much. And tonight, we are honored to honor and salute Ms. Marina Masaguta and Coach Gore. Thank each of you again. We do appreciate you. Okay, we will now move down to our committee reports. Do we have anyone that would like to make a report this evening?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Facilities Committee will look to schedule a tentative meeting for August the 31st, 2022 at 6 o'clock p.m. at the district office. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Reagan. Anyone else?
Madam Chair?
Yes?
Yes, the Policy Committee has a meeting planned for Wednesday, August 17th at 6 p.m. at the district office. The tentative agenda has been set to include an update on the equity audit and policy, this continuation of the discussion of assignment of students to schools. And I'm bringing before you tonight, there's a safety plan and drills update that we do every year that needs board approval before it goes to the State Department. Now, I know we normally like to take things before the full board, before it goes to committee, but I'm asking that we be allowed to discuss that safety plan and drills as time is of the essence at the policy committee meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Alston.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Hearing none, we will now move down to the legislative update. Dr. Hilton?
Madam Chair, as you are aware, the legislature is in summer recess. Consequently, there is no legislative update this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hilton. Thank you very much. All right, moving on down to Dr. Wright. Dr. Wright, would you please proceed with the items under the superintendent's report?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Board of Trustees. We've got some around the district updates at this point. First of all, I think everybody knows this. It's probably not a secret to anyone, but Monday, August 15th, we'll be welcoming our students back to school. That deserves a round of applause. That's a good thing. And so I'd like to extend my sincere appreciation to several community organizations that have hosted back-to-school events and continue to do so. Your generosity has not gone unnoticed by us. I'd also like to commend our teams throughout the Sumter School District for working tirelessly to ensure that our schools are ready for the return of teachers and students, and that work is continuing to go on. The safety of our students and staff is our #1 priority, so our team continues to monitor COVID-19 data in the Sumter community. Yes, we are aware of it, and collectively we will review any guidelines presented by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Our students and staff are asked to remain vigilant regarding the spread of COVID-19. And please continue to practice mitigation strategies and stay at home when exhibiting symptoms, awaiting test results, and/or testing positive. Also like to send a special thank you and a shout out to the Sumter Item for publishing the Sumter School District Welcome Guide again this year. This publication was made possible thanks to many community sponsors. And copies of the Welcome Guide will be distributed to our students, staff, the military, and the Chamber of Commerce. Also, to gear up for a positive school opening for many students, United Ministries sponsored the Gear Up for Learning program again this year. And thanks to the generosity of local churches, businesses, organizations, individual community members, and countless volunteer hours, thousands of supplies will be distributed to all of our schools on Thursday of this week. The Sumter School District welcomed over 80 energetic employees to our new team last week at the new teacher orientation. And hats off to our Human Resources Department, our principals, and everybody who had a hand in working diligently to make sure that we recruited some top-notch teachers. And we are still in need. That's not up here, but we are still in need of more teachers. We are gearing up for a very exciting school year, as I've already said. All of our leadership teams came together for 2 days at the end of July where we launched our theme. Our theme is located in the letters that make up the name Sumter. Schools Unified, Masterfully Teaching for Everyday Results. And so we're looking forward to achieving those goals this year. Those in attendance had the opportunity to brainstorm and collaborate as to how we could make things even better. Also, August the 11th, that is this Thursday, the Board of Trustees will be joining me Thursday, August 11th, 5 p.m. at Lakewood High School as we celebrate our summer graduates. This program is by invitation only and will be live streamed via YouTube. And also, the Board of Trustees is invited to join us at our back-to-school meeting. That's going to be held Friday, August 12th at 8:30 a.m. at the Sumter Sumter County Civic Center, where we will share our theme, hear motivational remarks, show a lot of school spirit, and announce the 2022-2023 District Teacher of the Year. We will also live stream this program via YouTube. Madam Chair, members of the Board of Trustees, that will do it for my Around the District at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Ready for?
Dr. Wright, are you ready to make your financial reports?
Yes, ma'am. At this time, I would like to engage in doing a serving as a dual role. First of all, we have hired and the Board of Trustees has approved a new Chief Financial Officer that I'd like to introduce to the community at this time. Her name is Mrs. Shatika Spearman, and I'd like to have her come forth to do the financial report at this time.
Good evening, Chairwoman Dr. Jackson, Vice Chair Dr. Baker, and the rest of this distinguished board, and Dr. Wright. I sit before you in giving you the report for our Minority Business Enterprise Utilization Report for 2022-2023. This is not a report, this is our policy that we have adopted for 2022-2023 according to our board policy. For this year, we did not make any changes from the previous year plan. Our plan will always be to be a district that ensures that minority business enterprises are afforded the opportunity to fully participate in our procurement process. We have reread every word in our current policy, and we have updated certain information, but it remains the same that we are a district that promotes diversity and minority business. So this will be our, the policy was in your notes, and that is our 2022-2023 MBE policy. Our next piece is the performance of our 2021-2022 activity for our minority business enterprise. For this fiscal year, our goal is to report on a 6-month basis the activity of engaging minority businesses. For the 6-month period, well, first of all, our certified minority business, they must be certified. And what we've noticed is that some of our minority business organizations are not certified. They have not gone through that proper process. But we still engage, and we have an accounting system that identifies those particular vendors. And so they are all certified, the ones that are certified with the South Carolina Division of Small and Minority Business Contracting and Certification. Sumter School District's application has a section that indicates if a vendor is a minority business. And semi-annually, we compare our vendors and make sure that any that have become certified are shown in our system. Currently, there are approximately 757 certified minority businesses registered as of July 2022. Sumter School District encourages our minority businesses to obtain their certification with the state. On the next slide, some data regarding the activity of Sumter County School engaging these minority vendors. From the time period of January 1st, 2022 to June 30, 2022, we had business with 6 of these certified vendors, and we spent approximately $342,000 with them. Some additional information is that we had 6 solicitations done and 0 were awarded, meaning that no vendor was MBE certified that responded. So for a total as of fiscal year '22, reflect, we have from July 1, 2021 to June 30, 2022, Sumter County School District engaged to the tune of $884,000 in expenditures spent with minority businesses, which represents 0.73% of our budget, which is up from 0.13% of our entire general fund budget. That engagement represents women at 96% vendors of the vendors we worked with, and then 4% for the minority. This is your semi-annual MBE update. Any questions?
Yes, Dr. McGinn, sure.
Yes, ma'am. You mentioned a small percentage that's not certified. Are there plans, are they working toward the certification?
Well, we're encouraging them. We still do engage business with those vendors who are not certified, and we do encourage them to become certified. But there's still a significant amount that are not. So we can only encourage, and we do that.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
That's it, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Dr. McGinn. Any additional questions? If not, you may proceed.
As far as the financial activity for the month of July 2022, as you know, this month represents the end of fiscal year '22, as well as the beginning of fiscal year '23. And so I will report both of the effects of that for each year. For fiscal year '22, which is the year that we're closing, we had a total of $115 million in total expenditures to date. Every day, we're constantly ensuring that all purchase orders and expenditures are recorded in the proper year, and we are making sure that we're submitting expenditure reimbursement requests to the State Department of Education. This number, $115,625,000, represents this is revenue, $115 million in revenue represents 88% collection. So we've collected 88% of our expected revenue. Again, this is due to the fact that the county office still owes us some funds. And we were in talks and have spoken with the county, and they recognize that they owe us some more funds, and so we're working with them to retrieve those funds. As we go to the expenditures for fiscal year '22, we have expenditures of $121 million, which represents 92% spending for fiscal year '22. That we've spent 92% of our budget of expenditures. And so right now, we're still doing billings, we're still processing summer pay for teachers when we get those timesheets in. So those are the type of things that we're constantly processing as of now. That is your financial report activity for July 2022 related to fiscal year 2022. In this packet, I also included your newly approved budget for 2022-2023. For fiscal year 2023, all revenue sources total to $146,673,871. And we have matching expenditures to the same amount. This is the budget that was approved, and because of the late resolution, because of the personnel changes, and the closing of fiscal year '22, we are still loading FY '23 budget and activity. So as a small summary of the new year expenditures and revenue, we have total revenues. We have not collected revenues related to the new year as of yet. And then the expenditures, we spent about $1.7 million in expenditures for July 2022 related to our new year, fiscal year '23. This represents claims that we have, expenditures that we will be claiming reimbursements for. And again, revenues show up very slowly at the very beginning of a new fiscal year. And so we know that they will gain speed as operations continue. This is your July 2022, fiscal year '23 activity.
Are there any questions for Spearman?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I don't really have well, I guess it is a question. With the budget that we approved for the fiscal year 22-23, earlier in the spring, we were informed that there will be a retention stipend given to all employees. That budget that we passed does include that retention stipend for staff, correct?
I will go through the notes that Jennifer left, my predecessor left, and I will check to make sure that it is, but it is effective for October of this year, for this fiscal year.
Okay.
And we have the memo in my possession, and I believe that it was included, but I will verify that,
Okay.
that it was a line item.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any additional questions?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes, Dr. McGaney?
Yes, ma'am. You mentioned that we were just trying to make an arrangement with the county auditor in regards to taxes.
Yes,
Revenue for taxes.
yes.
Do you have any idea, did we get a timeline or an anticipated timeline on when we'll be able to collect those funds from the county auditor?
Well, I know from last year, there was a note that there has to be a reconciliation done by the county at the end of August. And so I'm thinking that is the latest period of time, but I did talk to county officials and they said that this week they would let me know the amount for us to expect. And so I will work that into the forecast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Additional questions? If not, I'd like to say welcome
Thank you.
and thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That'll conclude the superintendent's report for this meeting.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Wright. With that being said, we are now down to, per our agenda, executive session. And the board will now enter into executive session. As a reminder, I'd like to, if there is, as we know that there is no set time for this portion of the meeting, we invite those of you that are in person to be here with us and to stay with us, as well as our online viewers. We ask them to join us when we return to open session. If you're unable to be with us, just know that we wish you a pleasant evening, and we wish to see you again at our next meeting. Trustees, is there a motion to enter into executive session?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I
Dr.
move
Baker.
that we enter into executive session for hearing on student staff appeal hearings, discussion of individual student matters, transfers in and out of the district, the monthly personnel report, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, termination, and/or release of an employee, receipt of legal counsel on compensation for former employee.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been, there is a motion and a second that we enter into executive session for a hearing on a student and staff appeal, discussion of individual student matters, transfers in and out of district, the monthly personnel report, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, termination, and/or and receipt of legal counsel on compensation for a former employee. Is there any questions or discussion? If not, please cast your vote. vote is unanimous that we enter into executive session. Again, thank each of you that are here, and we look forward. We are now returning from executive session. Are there any actions related to executive session, Mr. Superintendent?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair, members of the board, my recommendation is as stands for Appeal A.
Okay, is there a motion and a second for Appeal A?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to uphold the superintendent's recommendation.
Second.
A motion and a second has been made to accept the superintendent's recommendation for board approval. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
are we going in the order of the appeals?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Is there any discussion? If not, please cast your vote. Did yours come up? Oh, okay.
There it is.
Beg your pardon?
The yeas have it.
The motion passes? Okay. The motion passes. Dr. Wright, do you have a recommendation for Appeal B?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the Board of Trustees, my recommendation is as stands for Appeal B.
Okay. Is there a motion and a second?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendation.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. A motion has been made and second to accept the superintendent's recommendation. Is there any discussion? If not, would you please cast your vote? Beg your pardon?
The motion failed.
The motion failed. Okay. All right, we're now down to 8.2, individual student matters and transfer. Dr. Wright, do you have a recommendation? I stand corrected. 8.2 is the personnel report. Dr. Wright, do you have a recommendation for the personnel report?
Madam Chair, members of the Board of Trustees, at this time, I'd like to recommend approval of the monthly personnel report, including the hires and all that is presented in the personnel report at this time.
Okay. Do we have a motion and a second?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we support the superintendent's recommendation for the monthly personnel report.
Second.
Okay. The motion has been made in second to accept the superintendent's recommendation of the personnel report. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please cast your vote. Show of hands.
Just people in favor?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Okay, the vote was unanimous, so the motion passes. Okay, we are now down to the 8.3, individual student matters, transfers. Dr. Wright, do you have a recommendation for student transfer in and out of the district?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the Board of Trustees, I do recommend approval of the presented student matter transfers into and out of the district at this time.
Is there a motion and a second?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for individual student matters transfers into and out of district.
Second.
Okay. A motion has been made and second that we accept the superintendent's recommendation of the individual student matters transfers in and out of district. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please cast your vote. Show of hand. It's unanimous, so the motion passes. Okay. We are now down to our consent agenda. If there aren't any objection to the approval of the consent agenda, or is there any objection to the approval of the consent agenda? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. And to all our meeting participants and viewers, may you remain healthy and safe. Have a wonderful week. And if there's no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 11 o'clock p.m. Thank you, one and all, for being here. Have a good evening. Meeting is adjourned.